Hi, my name is Tom Emrich, and I'm the VP of Product at Eighth Wall. At Eighth Wall, we built a development platform to enable developers, agencies, and brands to create, collaborate, and publish augmented reality and virtual reality experiences in the browser. We have our own AR engine that enables world tracking augmented reality, so placing things in the space, and image target augmented reality, which means that you can propagate an augmented reality experience from a poster, signage, or a product. This SLAM engine, this AR engine, supports nearly 3 billion smartphones, so it has massive reach. And of course, since we're using the browser, it means that there is no app to download. And so this experience is very frictionless, and it allows for our clients that we power to have their users jump into the AR and VR experience as soon as possible.
My name's Jayne Pimentel. I'm the Senior Director of Growth Marketing at DraftKings. I basically oversee everything outside of TV, so that's paid search, social, blah, 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 TikTok. And DraftKings is a sports technology media company. And if you haven't heard it, then we can talk after this.
I'm Sam McLellan. I'm the head of growth for Musician. It's a music education app that basically teaches you to play piano, bass, ukulele, guitar, and to sing using the microphone on your either phone or laptop, tablet. Kind of listens along, gives you whether you're in tune or basically hitting the timing right on playing. And also doing consulting in New York.
Hi, I'm Dwight Zhou. I'm Director of Growth and Analytics at Tophatter. Tophatter is a e-commerce marketplace. We're mostly doing auctions, 90-second auctions. You can win an item in 90 seconds, potentially with free shipping. Yeah.
So as you can see, it's a very diverse group of leaders. And obviously, there's a web AR VR platform, very, very unique. There's the e-commerce, there's Musician, music app, and DraftKings. We all obviously know DraftKings, and all very respected leaders who have done some good work. So I forgot to introduce myself, but I'm Jeet Niyogi. I manage the growth at Playtika, World Series of Poker game, which has done quite well in the last few years. I've been with it for the last quite a few years. So yeah, and also been part of the MGS board, and we run a show at MGS Canada in Toronto as well. So all good and stuff. But why don't we start a little bit with the publisher side? What kind of growth teams are in place these days? What's the cutting edge in designing your teams that was not there before? Like, for example, is product part of it, live ops part of it, or is just UA and retention, monetization part of it, or app store optimization? Just a quick overview of the way you structure your teams would be very good for the folks out here. Or what has changed? Jayne, you can start by saying what's going on.
Sure, yes, would love to start. So my team is, we report to more of our CRO rather than a traditional CMO, and I think that kind of speaks to where marketing now sits within even what we would consider ourselves almost like a traditional brand, where we started well before mobile usage was kind of the thing. And so we are still channel split. So like I have a paid search and a paid social team, but they're getting more functionality around biddable, non-biddable media, and thinking more around the teams that are good conceptually at understanding the messaging, the format, cross-channel, and also cross-products. So we have 3 different products. We have Sportsbook, Daily Fantasy Sports, and Casino. All of my marketers touch all 3 of those products. And they also do UA and retention. So then whoever they bring in the door, you're also then, basically if you bring people in the door, then you're gonna have a really hard time retaining them. So it makes a little bit more checks and balances to have the UA team also do retention because it's in their own interest to make sure that they're doing well on the UA side to make it easier to retain. So yeah, my team outside of that is probably pretty similar to maybe how your teams are structured.
Yeah, just kind of jump on that as well. Like I think over the last 6 years, things have kind of headed more towards us being just like a single paid marketing thing and actually being more involved in product development, monetization, live ops, life cycle, just kind of being more focused on not just bringing a user in, but actually retaining them and then actually keeping them in that life cycle and monetizing them. And so my teams have actually grown from just paid marketing to growth teams where you kind of have that product aspect, running live ops teams, kind of having these different groups within it.
So all under one sort of growth brand, or there's a UA still differently functioning than monetization, or?
Yeah, for us, I think UA is actually like an org within the growth like team itself. So growth is for us is CRM, lifecycle, basically that one team, and then live ops monetization, and then UA, and kind of having them all in one umbrella allows you to kind of, well, basically spend the money, but also make sure it's coming back and ensure the ROAS is there.
Okay, cool. I wanted to move gears towards something very important that's going on. I mean, data is, I mean, it's an absolute mild understatement to say that data is super critical, super important what we do in performance marketing today. But give us some concrete examples of, what are some of the cutting edge things that you're doing these days? Like, I don't know, predictive modeling, the building out the LTV curves, let's say, or tying the creative data with how you're spending where your dollars are. So on the UA side, or the involvement of AI, let's say, for example, but give us some more concrete examples of how you are, or what has happened in the last 6 months to a year that worked well with regards to all the data analysis.
I'll start really quick. Something that I think we're doing that not a lot of others are doing is that we brought programmatic in-house too, and we don't run any ad network inventory at all. We don't find it incremental. And with programmatic, what we've done is we've created what we call a bid engine. So that bid engine runs algorithms across, and even just like some very simple bid logic across social, but also now programmatic. So we're doing at scale algorithms to acquire new users, to get higher value users. And a lot of that was actually a function of ad networks telling us they couldn't run our media or our ads because their algorithms, or whether it was people algorithms or actual machine learning, but it was based off of what they knew worked for the gaming category, and we fundamentally do not work like the gaming category. So we're just gonna build our decision engine ourselves and take our money back and do this ourselves. So we have lookalike models like Facebook. So instead of saying, the lion's share of our conversions come from Facebook lookalike and we can't get off that pipe, we actually can, because we've built a similar model that can run across not just Facebook's walled garden, but other partners too.
And how is it? Is it really bringing in better return on ad spend or whatever you're measuring against, or retention than the Facebook?
With using our algorithms, it's increased our. There's certain things I can't say. Percentage.
A range of percent.
Year over year, we've increased our quality of users by around 60 to 70%.
Nice. Wow. And Sam or Dwight, do you want to add something to it? And can I have the microphone? It just seems like I'm a little bit more stuck here. I'd rather be there so that they can see me. But please answer.
Yeah, for us, given that I also run the analytics team, we do put data quite a bit behind our ad buying process. And we were actually constantly trying to beat Facebook CBO. I think our Facebook rep constantly tells us like we need to switch over, but we're very stubborn, and we think we're still beating it. And so far it's been working very well for us. So we use a lot of our user data to predict their LTV and payback, and it's worked out well for us.
I think for us, learning an instrument is like a very emotional journey, and it's actually not an easy one. Like, it's actually going to become very frustrating very quickly. So it's kind of a weird selling point to say, you should totally download our app and then get frustrated. And so there's some sort of mindset setting that needs to actually happen that we kind of do with creative. So we run ads where we're kind of showing them the journey that they're going to go through, learning these instruments, including the frustration, including having sore fingers for learning guitar, or not being able to be flexible enough to actually do some of these moves, and then kind of walk them through with retargeting. So you show them that first ad that kind of introduced them to the product. You're going to then show them the next step and kind of walk them through their journey as they're going along. And at that point, where they kind of get to that app store and they're kind of in that mindset of like, I'm going to take this journey, even though it's going to have its challenges. We actually saw conversion improve a lot, and our subscription rates went up as well.
So any new postbacks or things that you are tagging that you were not tagging before? For example, like in the flow that you can share, or?
A lot of it's built into Facebook, where you can kind of retarget people with seen stuff. So that kind of helps in the tech front. But we did a lot of retargeting about what people actually then clicked and went to on our website. Because we're a subscription-based company, a lot of our conversion happens on the web, so we can avoid the Apple tax. And so we have different pages there and different landing pages that we can kind of customize for the exact message we wanted to send, and then retarget based on that. So
Nice.
nothing too crazy, unfortunately.
Nice, and it worked well. Yeah, good. I want to get Tom into the thing as well. So creatives are a huge part of the deal, and when you're doing something AR VR, although it sounds super sexy, sometimes it doesn't work as well. But can you share some examples where some of your clients really, worked well, like having thrown AR, VR?
Sure.
And some concrete examples.
I like that. I'm the sexy one up here. That's great. Okay, so a lot to live up to. So I think one of the big things with augmented reality in particular is dwell time and engagement. Okay, and so augmented reality is a living experience, and it's something that is very different than a banner ad or a video. And so we're seeing how augmented reality can help dramatically increase the dwell time with a product. So utilizing that product as an image target. iCandy, the creative agency, worked with General Mills and their Philo cereal to literally turn the back of the cereal box into a digital game, which of course you can imagine allows for the user to spend way more time with that cereal box. So that's one example. Adidas's Forever the Future campaign, which was done by Happy Lucky and 14.4, turned 4 of their stores, their Adidas stores, into futuristic environments by leveraging their signage as an image target, again, dramatically increasing the amount of time that user is spending in store. And right now, actually, Trigger, the mixed reality agency, has created with our platform the Lego Masters Builder web AR experience. And so it's a companion experience to the Lego Masters reality TV show. I don't know if any of you have caught that on Fox. Nice. So every week there is a huge challenge in the reality TV show to make a Lego structure. And what we've been able to power with web augmented reality is a web AR companion to that, which asks for the users to create a Lego creation in augmented reality, take a picture of it, share it on social. So again, spending a lot more time with that IP. We've seen, I can't speak specifics to any of the clients, but I can tell you that just across the board, we've seen 50% of users in web AR spend over 2 minutes of time with an activation. And some of them have reached over 3 minutes of time. And so that dwell time is really, really critical. And it really lends itself to getting that person into the right frame of mind to convert.
So, but a lot of this is with the brand performance. So is it also measurable, like in this way?
It definitely
Because
is.
the biggest beef I have with creatives are like some of them are super expensive, right? And yours, I'm sure, are very, very expensive. And that would lead us to the next question. What's the cycle, process, costs, anything you can share for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, like Eighthwall has a very transparent business model. We've really thought about the agency and how the agency, which is one of our most predominant clients, work. And so we have a monthly subscription that's $99 to allow for our agencies to create non-commercial projects to win business. And it's only once they win business that they need to get a commercial license that's based on usage. Speaking about analytics and measurement, we're the web, right? And so if you have an API, we can handle it. And so if you want to plug in Google Analytics or any other measurement platforms that you're currently using for your web properties or other properties, then you can definitely integrate that into the experience, set up your events. And we very much encourage our clients to have that mindset when they go out and they launch their augmented reality experiences.
Nice. Which kind of leads me to segue into the creative strategy that you guys are, have set in your companies. What are you guys doing differently? Like, I have heard a lot of things about how people are optimizing their creatives, but give us a little bit of, what the cycles look like, what kind of creatives you are working, what's not working, and how do you feedback that into the video guy or the artist who's making these creatives, the iterative process, and how is it working out? What is working in this whole process? It's such a huge thing, the creative strategy in each of your companies, I assume.
So I have 2 teams, one internal, one external for creative process or making creative. Pretty much all of ours is video because it's really hard to display exactly how an instrument works if you're just looking at a static image, or especially music and sound are huge parts of it. So we actually do a lot of that. In terms of like cadence, I mean, I'm probably getting a new ad every 2 to 3 weeks.
A new ad every 2 to 3 weeks?
So like new ad concept or like usually
Nice.
like between 3 to 6 variations. And then we kind of test those. So it's a pretty heavy cadence, I'd say. We're like testing a lot at any point, but it's nice having the internal team to kind of do the speedier stuff, and then you can kind of do the larger projects that tend to be a little bit higher budget externally.
And just at a high level, out of how many ads, 1 or 2 really work well? The rough numbers, if you.
It depends on so we're kind of trying a lot of concepts because obviously the emotional aspect of is the musical journey is what people are doing it. So it's kind of having to play on different emotions. Not some of those just don't work at all, and that's kind of a bummer. But also important data, so you're just kind of paying for that. And then we have certain concepts that we kind of use pretty regularly. So I'd say at least like 2 out of the 6 will always kind of work and be top performers, just because new and churn and all that stuff. So.
Nice.
Yeah, not too bad.
And you guys have anything to add on the Jayne or?
Yes, I love to hear myself talk, so I will talk.
Nah.
From a creative perspective, we definitely have our heroes that we iterate off of constantly. But I also think something that we do that maybe a lot of people do, and maybe I just think very highly of myself, but we tag the IDs within creatives. And what I mean by that is instead of just one concept being an ID, right? It's like light background, dark background, team ID, player ID, call to action, offer, because there's so much in our creative, you wouldn't be able to understand exactly what drove something without having that granularity of like tagging. And that type of system is not easy to find from a third party. But it's super, super critical to be able to connect the dots across channels, because then we can have a consistent offer across not just digital, but TV, or being able to pass that ID too. So when a user clicks on a Tom Brady ad, that should also trigger something in the app or on the site for Patriots content, not the same universal experience that everyone else gets.
That's an excellent, a very important thing, the whole tagging, also naming conventions, right? Many companies spend so much around that because you forget which ad works and how to make out which ad worked and how to measure it and keep iterating, especially when you iterate 5 versions of that Tom Brady ad. You don't know which one is, or how do you?
If Tom is a sexy guy, then I'm the unsexy one talking about naming conventions and IDs. So, yes.
Nice. That works. Anything else, Dwight? You wanted to jump in a little bit on this, or?
Yeah, for us, it's a little bit different because we're selling physical goods. So we really rely on the products that we have in our system, roughly over a million products, and we let that image to shine in our ads, and we're able to personalize and target the right product to that right person that's being shown the ad. For the more emotional side of the ads, we do contract out to make our TV ads and video ads.
I can add something from just from an augmented reality perspective in that for web AR examples that have a lot to do with retail, you can glean a lot of insight from the choices that the user may be making in the different styles or color variations of that same purse or shirt, and in a way that you would want to capture that information in a physical store, but because it's in a digital environment, it's highly trackable, so you can put a lot of IDs on those.
Nice. And it's in-house that you're doing it? What's the system that is churning these out?
Right. Well, so I'm just kind of speaking in generally here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So the next thing I wanted to touch upon is retargeting. That's a word we have heard here, and we have all figured out how to measure it in our own ways. But some of it is, we know, not true. Sometimes it's true. So just wanted to kind of get some real meaty stuff on what is working when it comes to retargeting. How are you segmenting people? Which sources are you using? Whatever you can share to give the audience something meaty to take away from a retargeting perspective, and especially measuring incrementality. I mean, this word is like, before it was machine learning and AI, this year or last year it's been incrementality, and everyone has a definition and a concept of how to measure, but we know that how hard it is to measure true incrementality. So throw us some light on retargeting. Well, let's say, how are you segmenting to first into the sources you're using? What is more hot, recency or lapsed versus pairs, non-pairs? Take it away.
So I mean, our app has a free trial, so that's obviously like our biggest segment. Well, sorry, I'd say most high intent segment. There are people who have not started a subscription yet, but are actually actively using the app, so we can kind of see who's worth actually retargeting there in that group. And then we have a significant number of lapsed users. We also have another app that's called Guitar Tuna. It's like the #1 guitar tuning app in the world. Has like between 15 to 20 MAU. So there's a huge group there of people that we can actually use our audio technology to figure out, are you a pro level, you're an expert level guitarist, or you're new and you're having trouble with strings? People with trouble with strings, that's our group, and we can kind of push them towards musician to actually learn how to play.
Nice. Dwight, you wanted to add something? It's a hot topic.
Yeah, for us retargeting, first and foremost, we have a global holdout group that's the basis for where we build all of our tests on, so that we can measure the incrementality pretty confidently. And the harder part is that we do work with various partners to do our retargeting on various other channels, and making sure that the holdout group is consistent across the various channels we're testing with. It's not perfect, but for the most part, we're able to see that we be pretty confident in measuring the lift.
Let me ask you a little bit more pointed. We have to keep it concrete for the guys. What % goes to the most recent people that were in your game to versus people that have left your game, lapsed users? If any guideline or indication you can give, you guys, all of you are welcome to jump into that.
So we are similar to, so Dwight, we have a holdout group too, so similarly. And then to Sam, might be a little similar on the lapsed user side, where a lapsed user for NFL that like came in for week 1 NFL is very different than a lapsed user that like came in on a random game for an MLB, mid-season. So for us, seasonality plays a really big factor into how, just like LTV, a user that we acquire week 1 is very different for us and for our business than user that comes in just for Super Bowl or just for like a really big event. And so that goes into it more than thinking about just like one bucket of lapsed users. There's a lot of context behind why they're a lapsed user. They got a bad beat, they lost some money. That's a very different program, a win-back program, than someone that only plays NFL. Very different. So. And
okay, go ahead. No, Sam.
Yeah,
please.
seasonality is like a huge thing with us as well, just because of the times of years that people want to pick up a new hobby and that kind of thing. And so actually, after those free trials, folks have sort of passed their mark where they would have subscribed. We actually don't retarget them anymore, and we actually save it for significant like seasonal boosts, where it's like it's January, new year, new you. You're going to learn to play guitar this year. We put you in that bucket, and we're just going to like really push the marketing spend then. Plus, it's cheaper in January.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 more sort of sub-questions to the retargeting before I close the retargeting chapter is new users, people that came in yesterday, 3 days from now. What % is going into your new users, and are you seeing a lot of success, or is it only after 4th day that we start retargeting people, or something like that, or 7th day? Throw some light on that, please.
I mean, you get an email from us quite quickly after you sign up. Probably,
nice.
Yes. It's velocity too of moving. So a user, that plays one contest, it's usage pattern though too, right? So for us too in the gaming space, we have to play in a responsible manner too. So there is a point that becomes predatory in retargeting in our category. So we are very cognizant and make sure that we do not get to that line, that there are systems in place that make sure that those are flagged so that we aren't going to retarget a user that looks like they're about to have a problem or does have a problem. We have exclusion lists for that kind of thing. So for us, it's maybe a little bit less in the gaming category where right away you want to bring them back in because we want them to have fun and have a good experience and eventually, come back in. But we don't want to create those types of behaviors that could be harmful for them.
Nice. Anything you wanted to add, Sam or Dwight or Tom?
Yeah, I think for us, we definitely target almost immediately. Similarly, we send emails like basically the moment you signed up. That's like a whole life cycle aspect of keeping them sort of into the app and learning at a regular cadence. That's kind of how you set a habit for learning an instrument. But outside of that, I wouldn't say there's necessarily like a silver bullet for finding that exact right moment. We just kind of tend to retarget up until the point of the subscription aspect, and then save them for those moments where we're either doing like a Black Friday push or something like that, where we can we know that they like the app, they've used it, but now maybe the price point was too high or something.
So games, has this whole concept of live operations, and a lot of other non-gaming apps are also imbibing it and using it in some way, like probably Super Bowl for you, or a Grammys. I don't even know if people watch Grammys or not, but concerts, rock shows, and anything related to the e-commerce business for you. So how important does retargeting play around these live events or live operations, if you will?
I mean, so my background actually prior before UA was in live ops. So I do a lot of that kind of pairing up with my teams and just generally pushing and supporting what we do with a lot of our partnerships. So we sponsored the Jimi Hendrix Experience Tour. We were actually one of their closer partners, and they allowed us to use some of Jimmy's music in our ads. We also then took that and essentially made live ops events within the app, so competitions, some of the things I kind of took from gaming, and made it a little bit more of an engaging experience so that they came in off of a Jimi Hendrix ad. They were taken to the Jimi Hendrix songs catalog. Like there was sort of a deep linking aspect we could have built that actually made it a more rounded experience.
So what were you giving out though when people came in? Did you give something extra?
So that's the part that's different from gaming, where like I expect some virtual items that I can kind of shower on users, and we don't really have that when it's just like one subscription.
Nice.
So we actually kind of just we hacked it basically. So we made it a sort of in-app message pop up and kind of made it like a tournament a little bit. So there really wasn't a prize other than like you get a month or two of free musician. It's basically the only lever I had to pull. So other than that, like we just kind of generally made it a social experience where we're kind of highlighting specific users on our social pages, and then kind of just highlighting specific users that we picked that were either brand new and showed like significant improvement, or were very, very talented guitar players and were able to add in their own riff to Jimi Hendrix stuff.
And incrementally speaking, did you see a boost in revenues by a certain percent?
Yeah, so we actually unlocked all of Jimi Hendrix songs so all free users could play them. So a lot of that content tends to be locked behind a paywall. But by unlocking that, we saw people who actually took part in those challenges and kind of trying to play Jimi Hendrix music would convert at a 40 to 50% higher rate. So it was a significant improvement just having them sort of get into the app and be sort of walked through a process of here's how the app works and showing different areas they wouldn't normally see.
And this is super important, right? When you tie retargeting with live operations, live events, and seasonal events, whatnot, based on what your app is relevant to, it works like crazy. It's really, really good revenue uplifts, good retention uplifts, everything. But Jayne, do you want to throw anything on that side?
I mean, I think Sam's probably the expert there. I've never been in live ops, so
nice.
I won't be able to.
But do you tie anything with the events or some of the stuff that is going on very heavily?
Sporting events. I've heard of the Super Bowl. Yes, we do a lot around sporting events. We even if you take Sportsbook, with one of our products as an example, the U.S. actually acts very differently than the U.K., which has been a mature market for a while. So Sportsbook for anyone is literally you bet on the outcome of a game or something within a match. Most people in the U.S. still bet like pre-game, pre-match, who's going to win, who's not going to win kind of thing, or the money line or all that kind of stuff. In the U.K., everyone bets while the game's happening.
Nice.
So they have their phones and they're like, this is going to be, well, they don't watch American football, but let's say soccer. This guy's going to score a goal in the next minute, or in the next 5 minutes, this is going to happen. And so, like for American football, that translates to this play is going to be a pass, this one's going to be a touchdown,
Nice.
This one's going to be a punt. That type of activity is what is super engaging, like ton of content around that, and the market is going that way. It looks like in the U.S., but that is something that is being really, really. That if you look at companies in the UK, that is what they live and breathe, is the in-game live betting experiences.
Great. And all of it increases engagement, revenues eventually. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is, and Tom, you can get in on this first dips, is how, I was going to talk about push strategies, that you guys have, the content, the importance of content in all your push strategies, platforms, what have you. Share something new and exciting that you guys did, which really moved the needle when it comes to content and push strategy. And you worked with a lot of your clients to give them content around different things in their apps or web events, web applications.
Well, yeah, on the browser side. I mean, I think the biggest thing we did is just put augmented reality in the browser. That's like a huge deal. So not having to download an app means that from a push strategy perspective, you have a link that you can attach to an email or a text message, or you can use a QR code on signage. And so that has really unlocked the opportunity to use augmented reality for many of our agency clients. And it's realized a funnel towards conversion. So for example, Trigger powered the Jumanji Next level experience, which was a web AR experience, the first with Amazon Lex, which is a voice service. And it had the ability to spawn a 3D map of Jumanji, and you use your voice to ask where on the map you want to go, and it led you down this funnel towards getting movie ticket purchases, for example. Or Adidas, again, in Toronto, joined forces with Jam3 to turn transit passes into scratch tickets. And once you scratched, you found out your discount. They showed you the nearest Adidas store and basically asked you to hop off, the transit to get to that store. So driving, again, that user through a funnel towards purchase. All this made possible because there is no need to download an app. You literally just saw something to text, a QR code to scan, or you just got sent an email.
That's great. And do you intend to move to the mobile world at some point? I mean, there's a whole world out there.
Like the app world, you mean? Or?
Yeah, the mobile app world, yeah.
I mean, right now for us, we're very much focused on the browser as a massive opportunity. We do have an app, a product as well, which aids developers in leveraging Unity to build cross-platform augmented reality for applications. But again, like especially when you're thinking about like timely, relevant, short-term campaigns, asking an end user to download a large app and wait for those assets to load on their smartphone and then use your smartphone real estate, which is very precious at this time, is a big ask from an end user. So we decided to waive all that, focus on the browser, and remove the friction so that we can set our clients up for success.
Great. You guys wanted to throw in some
Sure.
pieces of advice from everything, platform, what's working, what's not.
Yeah, the push pop team, the lollipop team, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
We do push notifications. We still do a holdout group to look at incrementality. There is a quick and steep point of diminishing returns with how many push notifications you do to users.
Nice.
So that is
The supply-demand
that
curve.
is important to note. I would say also we've oddly had some success with text message,
nice.
which we didn't think was going to be something big, and text message for existing users. So
through a third party or your own text?
actually through a third party.
Oh, nice.
So
no name shall be mentioned, or shall it be mentioned?
No name. I can't. I'm not allowed to.
Okay, good.
But yeah, for existing users, it did well. For acquisition, no, not so well. So yeah, be thoughtful with that. We only do push notifications to users when something really big, like odds change, like for a huge match is going to change, or a big player that usually gets a lot of points in fantasy isn't playing that day. Not like, and I'm actually excited to hear what Dwight has to say, but I've deleted a lot of apps, especially e-commerce apps, that bug me about a bunch of pairs of shoes that I really don't care about anymore.
Nice. Not targeted.
Like 5 times a day.
Not relevant. No. Yeah, Dwight. Apparently you're the next one.
Okay.
You can't choose.
So yeah, we do use a third-party service. I can say the name, Phrase. We use that to do our push and email, and to try not to be too spammy. We do have defaults. We won't send.
Explain not spammy. Give us some more details.
Yeah,
5 a day, 4 a day.
Depends on the user. Some users really like pushes because we have the ability for you to set alerts on certain auctions that are going live. For those, it's very timely to send them a push right before the item goes live, and they love it. It's a solicited push, but we tried not to double up on the email and the push. So if they're pushable, we send them a push and not the email. But if they opt out of the push, then we will start sending emails. In terms of trying to stop ourselves before we send too many so that they install the app or even turn off the notification, we do have quite a few cooldown in place to make sure they're still engaging with the push notifications before we send more.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually pretty passive when it comes to push notifications. We just don't have a huge opt-in rate on it. And it's also something that we don't really push unless you're going to set up, we have this option in the app to basically set up a schedule for your practices. So if you want to be reminded that your guitar lesson is going to start, we can actually set up push notifications for that. But that's pretty, I mean, other than like sort of a couple at the very beginning when people log in and first start their user experience, that's only the really push notifications we kind of do. Nice. We just found that a lot of apps get very invasive with them, which is why people delete apps and turn them off. And we kind of found from gaming, when I was like in gaming, that there is definitely a very hard limit on how many you can send before it actually becomes a complete negative and actually working against you.
Curious to know, for all of you guys, is it the same pattern of which day works the best for email marketing or push note? It used to be Tuesday. I don't know. What do you guys have? Any thoughts on that? That these guys can take and
Weekends.
implement? Or weekends?
Yeah, weekends.
Weekends.
Nice.
Agreed.
Yeah, cool.